The link arrived at 2:17 in the morning. Maya was awake, though she told herself she wasn't. The room was dark except for the thin blue glow of her phone charging. On the nightstand, she had fallen asleep on top of the blanket, still wearing the sweater she'd worn to the hospital earlier that evening. The air smelled faintly of antiseptic and stale coffee, scents that seemed permanently stitched into her skin now. Her phone buzzed once, just once, not the frantic vibration of a call, just a message. She stared at the ceiling for a long moment before reaching for it, her fingers cold and stiff. The notification showed an unknown number and nothing else but a link. No text, no name, just the link. Her first instinct was to ignore it. Spam, a mistake, the kind of meaningless digital noise that filled her days since she stopped answering most people. But her heart was already beating faster. It had been 3 months since Daniel's accident, and ever since then, every unknown number carried the same impossible hope. A mistake in the records, a survivor found, a miracle no one expected. She hated herself for still believing in miracles. Her thumb hovered over the screen. It was 2:17 a.m., the same time the hospital had called her the night. Daniel's car had been pulled from the river, the same time she had stood in her kitchen, listening to a stranger's careful, professional voice explain that sometimes icy roads and dark bridges were unforgiving. Her breath trembled. She tapped the link. The video opened slowly, the buffering circle spinning as if mocking her impatience. Then the screen shifted to a dimly lit room. The camera was steady, placed on a table or shelf. The image sharpened. It was Daniel, not a photograph, not a memory. Daniel, sitting in what looked like their old living room, the beige curtains behind him, the crooked painting he had always promised to fix, still leaning slightly to the left. Maya's chest seized so violently she had to press her free hand against her ribs. He looked thinner, paler, but unmistakably him. His dark hair fell over his forehead the way it always had when he forgot to cut it. He was wearing the grey sweater she had given him on his 30th birthday. He looked straight into the camera. "If you're watching this," he began, and his voice was so familiar that it felt like someone had reached into her body and squeezed her heart. Then I guess I was right about the timing. Maya's breath hitched. She wanted to pause it, to freeze him there, alive and speaking. But she was too afraid that if she touched the screen, he would vanish. "I don't know when this will reach you," Daniel continued, "or how you'll feel when it does. I hope you're sitting down. You're probably not. You never listen when I tell you to sit." A soft, broken sound escaped her lips. He had always teased her about pacing during serious conversations. His eyes softened. "Maya, if you're seeing this, it means I didn't make it." The words fell gently, but they shattered everything inside her. She shook her head instinctively. "No," she whispered to the darkroom. No. "I recorded this because I know you," he said. "I know how you disappear into yourself when things hurt. I know you'll blame yourself. You'll replay that last argument we had about the stupid dishwasher and tell yourself you should have said something different. You'll think if you'd asked me to stay home that night, I would have." Tears slid into her ears as she lay there, the phone inches from her face. "We fight," he said, smiling faintly. "We were fighting because that's what people who care too much do. But it had nothing to do with the bridge. It had nothing to do with the ice. It wasn't your fault." Her body curled inward, as if trying to shield itself from the truth she had been refusing to face. The video cut abruptly. Maya gasped, her heart racing. For a terrifying second she thought it was over. But then the image returned, closer now, as if he had adjusted the camera. "There's something else," Daniel said, his expression more serious. "Something I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to look at me differently." A chill ran through her. "I went to the doctor 2 weeks before the accident. I'd been feeling off, headaches, dizziness. They found something. A tumor. Early stage, they said, but not small. I was scared, Maya, not of dying, of becoming someone you'd have to take care of." Her mind reeled. She remembered those weeks. The way he had been quieter. The way he had brushed off her questions. "I thought I had time to figure out how to tell you," he continued. "I was going to, I swear. I just needed to wrap my head around it first." Her stomach twisted violently. Anger surged through her grief. "You idiot," she choked. "You should have told me." "I didn't want to steal your light," he said softly, as if he could hear her. "You were about to open your gallery. You were finally stepping into your dream. I didn't want you to look at me and see a burden." Her hands trembled. She had closed the gallery after his death. She couldn't walk into that space without feeling like a fraud, like someone pretending to be alive. "I don't know if the tumor would have taken me," he said. "Maybe I'd have beaten it. Maybe I wouldn't, but I need you to know something." He leaned closer to the camera. "If you're watching this, it means I didn't get the chance to fight it. So you have to fight something for me." She frowned through her tears. "Fight the urge to disappear," he said. "Fight the part of you that wants to stop painting because it reminds you of me. Fight the silence. Promise me you'll keep going." The screen went dark. Maya lay in the quiet, her ears ringing. For a long time she couldn't move. The world felt unreal, as if the walls had shifted slightly and nothing was aligned anymore. Her grief, which had been a heavy, suffocating blanket, now burned with sharp edges. He had been sick, he had been scared, and she had been angry about dishes and late nights. Rage flooded her, hot and fierce, at him, at herself, at the bridge, at the indifferent river that had swallowed his car. She sat up abruptly, her breath coming in shallow bursts. The room felt too small. She stumbled out of bed and into the hallway, her bare feet slapping against the wooden floor. The living room was dark, but she could still see the outline of the couch where they used to sit. The coffee table that still bore faint scratches from when Daniel had tried to assemble it without instructions. She sank to the floor in front of it. "You should have told me," she whispered into the emptiness. "I would have stayed. I would have fought with you." Her voice broke. "You didn't have to protect me from loving you." The silence answered back, thick and endless. Morning arrived slowly, pale light creeping through the curtains. Maya hadn't slept. She watched the sun climb, her mind replaying the video over and over. By noon, something inside her had shifted. It wasn't relief. It wasn't happiness. It was a thin, fragile thread of purpose. She drove to the gallery for the first time in months. The building stood at the end of the street, its windows dusty, the sign slightly faded. She had poured years of savings and hope into that space. Daniel had painted the walls himself, insisting on the perfect shade of white. Her hands shook as she unlocked the door. The air inside was stale, heavy with abandonment. The canvases still hung where she had left them. Half-finished pieces leaned against the wall in the back room, colors frozen mid-stroke. She walked slowly, her fingers brushing over the frames. "I'm here," she murmured, though she wasn't sure who she was speaking to. She stopped in front of a blank canvas she had abandoned the week before the accident. It stared back at her, accusing and expectant. Her heart pounded. Daniel's voice echoed in her mind. "Fight the urge to disappear." She picked up a brush. At first, her hand refused to cooperate. The lines were shaky, uncertain. Tears blurred her vision, dripping onto the canvas, blending with the paint. But she didn't stop. Hours passed unnoticed. Colors emerged, collided, softened. What began as chaos slowly transformed into something raw and alive. A bridge arched across the canvas, not broken or icy, but bathed in warm light. Beneath it, instead of a dark river, there was a swirl of vibrant blues and golds, turbulent yet luminous. As she stepped back, breathless, she realized she wasn't painting the accident. She was painting what came after. The choice to cross again. She sank onto the stool, exhaustion washing over her. For the first time since Daniel's death, her chest didn't feel completely hollow. That evening, as she locked up the gallery, her phone buzzed again. Her pulse quickened, fear and hope colliding. It was the same unknown number. This time there was text. "I scheduled it to check your email." Her stomach dropped. She opened her inbox with trembling fingers. A message from a video scheduling service confirmed that a second video had been set to be released to her exactly 6 months after Daniel's death. 6 months was tomorrow. Her heart raced wildly. How many had he recorded? She didn't know whether to feel comforted or terrified. The next day crawled by in unbearable suspense. At exactly 2:17 a.m., her phone buzzed. She was ready this time, sitting upright on the couch, lights off, breath steady. She opened the link. Daniel appeared again, but this time he was outdoors, sitting on the hill, overlooking the city where he had proposed to her. "If you're seeing this one," he said, smiling gently, "then you made it 6 months. I knew you would." Her eyes filled with tears. "I hope you went back to the gallery," he continued. "I hope you're painting, and if you're not, then this is me, annoying as ever, telling you to get up." She laughed through her tears. "I talked to a lawyer before the surgery I never got to have," he said. "There's a fund in your name. It's not huge, but it's enough to keep the gallery open for a while. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to think I was planning my exit." Her hand flew to her mouth. "I wasn't," he said firmly. "I was planning for every possibility, including the one where you'd need a push." He looked straight into the camera, his expression tender and unwavering. "You are stronger than your worst day. You are more than the grief you carry. Don't let this be the story that ends you." The video ended, but this time the silence felt different. Maya sat there, tears streaming down her face, but her back was straight. He had been afraid. He had been flawed. He had made mistakes, and so had she. But love had existed between them, messy and imperfect and fierce. She stood and walked to the window. The city lights shimmered below, fragile and persistent. "You didn't steal my light," she whispered. "You gave me more of it." In the weeks that followed, she reopened the gallery officially. She hung the bridge painting in the center, naming it 217. People came. They asked about the piece. She told them the truth, not the sanitized version, the real one. But grief and guilt and late-night videos and second chances. And every time she spoke, the weight inside her grew lighter. On the first anniversary of Daniel's death, she stood alone in the gallery after closing. The room was quiet, but not empty. She looked at the painting, at the bridge glowing in impossible light. "I'm still here," she said softly. And for the first time, she didn't feel like she was surviving. She felt like she was living.